I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Music Theory Tuition series where I work with you step by step through the ABRSM Discovering Music Theory grades. I'll work through every single exercise and explain everything you need to know. You can access information about the books I have available to help you on my website. Go to sharonbill.com. For advert-free and longer lessons, you can become a patron at patreon.com/SharonBill. If you can give me a like, that would be super, and please do subscribe to my channel to stay updated. You can support this channel by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/SharonBill. We turn now to page 54 of the Grade 4 Discovering Music Theory workbook, and we get to sit back a little bit and just look at the wider context of some instruments and their families, and we'll look at the orchestral instruments and some of the terms and signs that would be used in their music. And so here we have a diagram of the orchestra, and we can see we've got the strings such as the violin section, which would be here, and the violas, and then you'd have the cellos and the double basses. Then we have the woodwind section that usually sit here. It's always set out in this way so the conductor can always be sure where everybody is sitting. And so the woodwind, of course, it's, as the title suggests, it's instruments that you blow. They generally would, but of course the flute is not, but it's still part of the woodwind. You'd have the flute, the clarinet, the oboe, the bassoon. We've got the brass instruments here. And these categories can be divided as well, because the woodwind instruments are classed into reed instruments, non-reed instruments, and also some instruments have double reeds. And then in the brass section we have valved brass instruments such as the trumpet or the horn, and then we've got the sort of slider instruments such as the trombone. And then the percussion section is here. It's like a massive range because there's all sorts of whistles and bells going on here, and I always feel very sorry for the percussionist. My son is a percussionist, and you know, you're just racing all around the back doing kind of a bar or two here and then a bar or two here, and then, you know, you'll have to pick up some sticks and do a massive xylophone something or other, and then you'll have a couple of bars rest, and then you have to do a crash bang here, and then I just think it seems really stressful, but you know, how interesting. And here is where the conductor stands, who's directing it all. And I know there's often a misconception that is, you know, they're just sort of wafting their arms vaguely and not doing much at all, and that's so not the case at all. They really are holding it all together, and I think it's absolutely exhausting actually, because they've got everybody's music. Their score is massive, so you know, everybody's music is all on a page, so like one bar could be like a whole page length. And they are bringing people in and telling them, yes, it's you now, yes, it's you now. And for different sort of, I guess, dynamic change, they'll be encouraging the orchestra to just speed up a little bit. And they're watching their baton, which is the downbeat. Every time the baton goes down, that means you're on beat 1. The upbeat means you're on the last beat of the bar. And he'll be telling you to get louder, and he'll just sort of encourage you with a gesture to bring that little section out more, and then yes, this bit now. And it's absolutely exhausting what they do, and they hold it all together. It's so stressful when you don't have a conductor. And I always feel amazed when I see kind of a sort of like a piano concerto when somebody's conducting from the piano, because they're not only sort of guiding the orchestra, but they're playing their own piece as well. I guess the orchestra has to kind of just be extra aware of what's going on, listening to each other as well. So it's a fascinating topic here, and there are so many different pieces of music that you can listen to guide you around the orchestra. Another good one is, so we've got Britain's Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra, and just a little change from that is Peter and the Wolf, Prokofiev, and we've also got Ravel's Bolero, where we hear the same tune over and over and over again, but jumping around to different instruments in the orchestra. And I always think, when I think of Ravel's Bolero, of a really famous ice skating dance by Torvill and Dean. So, just a little bit of general information there. However, let's just dive in to the string family. So we have, generally speaking, 4 instruments, 4 groups of instruments, not 4 actual instruments. There's usually loads of violins and so on in an orchestra. They provide the massive mainstay of the orchestral scene, actually. You can see just at a glance all of that is strings compared to the woodwind and the brass. However, we tend to have the violin, which is the highest, which uses treble clef. The viola looks like a violin, but it's slightly bigger. So it's still under the chin, but it's slightly bigger. And this is the instrument that reads the alto clef, because it reads that mid-range. It's not particularly high, not particularly low. It's that mid-range. And then we have the cello, which is the most beautiful instrument. Elgar's cello concerto is simply divine. And this uses the bass clef mostly, and it's lower than the viola, of course. It's a much bigger instrument, and it sits with a sort of a spike resting on the floor to keep it held upright. And then the double bass is the largest of them all. They have to sit on a really high stool to play that. I think trekking that around on a bus might be quite a handful. In fact, I do remember going to school, and the school orchestra days were really noticeable on the bus, because there was a guy, poor thing, who had to get on the bus with a double bass. Yeah, there was no room sitting next to him that time. And interestingly, the double bass transposes, so it actually sounds an octave lower than it's written. So it might sound that, but it might read that, but it actually sounds an octave lower. And then, if you want to just take another little look at this string family, the 4 strings on the violin are G, D, A and E. And I say this because later we're going to be looking, and sometimes we're told that the violinist must play Sol G on the G string. That's on the lowest string, and that's the thickest, most warmest resonant string. That's why you will be told to do that. The viola, the strings are C, G, D and A. The cello is the same string tuning, but at different octaves. It's C, G, D and A, but down an octave. And then the double bass, it's like the violin but backwards. E, A, D, G strings, and so it's just octaves and octaves lower there in sound. And so that's a brief look at the string instrument family, and we'll continue with this topic as we turn the page. I hope this is helpful to your studies. Please do like and subscribe to stay updated. If you'd like to support this channel, you can buy me a coffee, and for advert-free lessons you can become a patron. Do visit my website, where you'll find many resources available to help you. Visit sharonbill.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.